Good morning, scholars. Today we're going to continue our way through Pharr's Homeric Greek, a book for beginners, and conclude Lesson 14 with a short video on what's called a Spondaic verse in the Homeric hexameter. So, the Spondaic verse, as Pharr has it in section 1182, the fifth foot is usually a dactyl. Only about one verse in 20, however, having a spondy in this place, which gives the verse a movement slower than usual. It is then called a spondaic verse. So 1 in 20 verses will have this type of ending. Da, 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 da. Monro describes them this way. The use of a sponde in the fifth place, occurs most commonly in verses which end with a word of 4 or more syllables, as in "Ste matekon en kesen, heke bolu apollonos, areides done, sternon de Poseidaone." And so we see that final word has 4 or more syllables in each of those verses. It says it is also found with words of 3 syllables long, such as toi ede du omen gene a meropon anthropon. So let's look a little more closely at these verses that Monro gives us as an examples. So the first one comes close to the beginning of the first book of the Iliad, where Homer's describing the priest of Apollo who's come. Ste matekon in kesen, heke bolu apollonos. And so we see Apollonos. We have the name of a god with 2 spondes. Apollonos, and there's always some, how do I say it, reverence or just a slower solemnity attached to the name of a god. So this is not uncommon. Likewise, in the excerpt from the second book of the Iliad, line 479, we have areides done, sternon de Poseidaone. Poseidaone. We have da, 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 da at the end of the line. And again, the name of a god. And this is where the poet is describing Agamemnon's appearance as he marshals the army onto the field for the first battle. Like Ares at the waist, at the breast, like Poseidon. And you see these datives, Arei, Poseidaone. These are datives that are used, to be like something, plus the dative. Okay, that something gets in the dative. So then the third example, again, from book 1, and this is a description of Nestor, who, because of his old age, he's the wise old man, somewhat wordy of the poem, and to whom already 2 generations of mortal men had passed. Toi hede duomen gene I meropon anthropon. So again, we see 2 spondes ending the verse, meropon anthropon. And you could say that there is the same type of solemnity attached to this notion of the passing of the generations of mortal beings, somewhat similar to that of the name of gods. So these are examples that Monro gives of the spondaic verse, whereas opposed to the bucolic diaresis, da, 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 you have da, 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 da. Okay. So, and regarding the final foot of the verse, The final syllable of a verse may be either long or short, but as there is a slight pause at the end of the line, the final syllable in hexameter is always considered long, making the last foot of verse always a spondaic. Okay, so there we have our rules for Homeric verse, and both both versions of Pharr's text, the new edition and the earlier edition, have a detailed explication of each syllable of the first 5 lines of the poem, so that you, as a student, can make sure you're understanding how to apply these rules. It's not that difficult, but it takes a while. When I was first learning the hexameter, I would actually lay in bed at night and just generate hexameters in my head, because it's not very hard. Da 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 da. It's not very hard. It's a little hard to get the caesura, but just to generate the six feet of a hexameter, alternating the spondes and the dactyls, is not very difficult. So you can try it that way. But the best way, of course, to master a type of prose, meter, is by memorizing a huge swath of it. And I have to admit, I've never actually memorized a huge swath of the Iliad, and probably will for this course, but that's the best way. You just memorize a huge swath of it, and then you practice reciting it with as much feeling as you can. And usually, if you're reciting it with the proper feeling, the meter almost takes care of itself. Okay, so that's it. Good luck, and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.